My name is Merrick, and welcome to this episode of Fostering Golf Balls. For today's episode, we're going to look at something a little bit different. We're going to look at probably the most famous golf ball out there, the Titleist ProV1. It's probably has the most brand recognition. Most of the tour, it's the ball that most tour players probably play, and it's the ball that when we think of the cream of the crop, typically in all tests, year after year, the ProV1 is up there. But what I'm interested in today is something a little bit different. I have 6 golf balls here. They're all from the same year of Titleist ProV1s, but 3 of them are refurbished, which means that they've undergone some kind of process, some cosmetic makeup, and basically someone used them, they got lost, someone found them, they were in not the greatest shape, they made some slight alterations to them, versus balls that have not been refurbished before. And what we want to see is there actually a difference between a refinished ball and an actual ball?
So before we begin, it's important to know we're dealing with the 2017 Pro V1 golf ball, which claimed to be the longest ball when it came out in the market. It has 4 to 5 different dimple sizes and has a specific dimple design that allows it to, according to Titleist, fly very far. So far that they, when it came out, it would be charged for around $50 a dozen, but refurbished balls go for a lot less. So what exactly is different? Well, first off, of course, refurbished balls are used, brand new balls are not. But what exactly is the specific difference? The first thing I wanted to look at was the mass of the golf ball. It sounds like an interesting thing to look at, but it turns out when you refurbish a golf ball, it's not like refurbishing a couch or anything like that, because when you refurbish a golf ball, you're actually making changes to those dimple designs, right? Typically, when you have a new ball and you need to make it look nicer, you add a coat of paint. Well, everything on a regular golf ball has a purpose. There's a design, it's for more aerodynamics, but when you add a coat of paint, it's actually something different. In this article by My Golf Spy, which is a company that basically reviews golf equipment, they found that when you have a refinished golf ball, the quality is, in their words, sketchy at best, right? You're like adding drywall to paint. And the problem is when that paint is actually something that can change the design of the ball, then aerodynamically you're changing what the intended or what Titleist had in mind when they designed this Pro V1 golf. So here's the data from our simple test, and of course this is a very small sample size, only 3 golf balls, but we did find that the Pro V1 refurbished golf balls weighed more than the Pro V1 originals, perhaps due to those small coats of paint or refurbishments or small touches that needed to be made. Something of importance is that one of the golf balls came in at 45.99 grams, which is over the legal limit for a USGA, which is the for basically a professional golf tournament. A golf ball can be no more than 45.9 grams. So on average, these balls were already heavier. And when you look at a refurbished versus an original ball, the differences are perhaps imperceptible to the eye, but the scales do not lie. The second test we wanted to look at was the one that we normally do, which is cutting the balls open. It's safe to, as you can watch me struggle with this significantly, is that I have not gotten better at this golf ball cutting process. In fact, somehow the more golf balls I cut, I somehow get worse. But we wanted to look at the inside of the golf ball. Typically, this is done for one reason, is that what if the ball gets a new coat of paint and is not actually a Titleist golf ball? There's been stories of refurbished balls claiming to be Titleist Pro V1s, but when you cut them open, they're not the same. Another thing we wanted to look at is, would there actually be a difference in the interior of the golf ball? We know that the outside is refurbished, but what about the actual inside? And let's take a look at our tests. So as we go left to right, so I'll start with my refurbished golf balls. As you can see, they have the core looks relatively similar. There's a slight coloration because of the cuts that I made, so it looks like it's different, but it's actually the same. Titleist uses a core that is softer on the inside and harder out, basically to promote longer distance. So as you can see, these are all Pro V1s, right? Even though it's refurbished, they're still Pro V1s. So what does this all mean? We know the exterior is different, but what does this actually mean in terms of performance? Well, this year, My Golf Spy did another one of their annual ball tests in which they test different models, and they actually included the Pro V1 and a refurbished Pro V1 in their tests. So, what are the results? As on the y-axis, you have ball speed, and on the x-axis, you have what's called compression. The higher the number, the harder a golf ball is. So here we're looking at driver ball speeds for a mid-swing speed person, and what you notice is that there is a trend line, right? That typically is happening. The softer the ball, the lower the compression, the higher the lower the ball speed. But there's only one ball who's kind of out of that trend line, and that's the Reload Pro V1, which is high in compression but low ball speed. And here it is again. This is for an 8-iron. In an 8-iron, you typically want a relatively high ball speed so it can fly farther, but you also want high spin so you can better control it. So the Pro V1 Refurbished is the lowest in ball speed, so you would expect it to be higher in spin, but if you look at the top to bottom, it's nowhere near the top in spin as well. So it actually performs poorly on both ends, low in ball speed and low in spin. To say just because it says Pro V1 doesn't actually mean it performs like a Pro V1 golf ball, and there's a reason why the price is different.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Fostering Golf Balls for the books. Again, today we looked at the 2017 Pro V1s, regular, original manufacturing condition versus refurbished golf balls. And hopefully you took something away from this video. Hopefully you know that there's a difference in performance, as we saw from the My Golf Spy test. And we also see from our own test here that slight change in grams, right? That slight change in grams, and there's no actual purpose for it, that can have a big difference in terms of the performance of the ball itself. Sometimes we buy the ball because of the name, but sometimes we also have to know what we're actually paying for or what we're actually finding. So until next time, take care. See y'all soon.